All right, welcome back to the Starfighter podcast with Dom and Jake. Today's main topic, Dom gets a PS5 finally. We're going to talk about it. Thank you. I'm sure everyone else is clapping as they're watching this as well. No, but yeah, I got to talk about it. Before we get into Obi-Wan episode 3, my wife surprised me with the PS5 Monday and I lost my mind because I've been wanting one for a long time, and they've been nearly impossible to get still, which is really stupid. But yeah, we got it, and I love it. Been playing Jedi Fallen Order, been playing Spider-Man, and we might have to do some stream some games soon. But Jake, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I did not get a PS5, so I'm feeling a little left out right now. But yeah, Ryan, whoop whoop.
Thank you, Ryan.
For you, Ryan. But yeah, I'm doing good. It's a nice, cool day here in California, so it's nice.
Yeah, it's a good day, and tomorrow, or this weekend, we're gonna be going on a trip. Might be seeing you soon in California.
Maybe, yeah.
Possibly. Yeah. We'll see. Be pretty cool. But in either case, thank you everyone for tuning in, whether it's live right now or on the replay. Definitely join the conversation in the live chat or in the comment section, and we will get back to you. But always want to hear your thoughts, questions, Star Wars theories. We love to hear them. And definitely, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and leave us a like. Or if you're on the podcast feed, give us that 5-star. You can, on Spotify, just hit the 5 stars. Or if you are so kind, you can even leave us a nice review. But yeah, man, I'm excited about Obi-Wan episode 3. I mean, a lot of people are talking about it online. And why don't we talk about our initial thoughts before we kind of like break things down a little bit? But overall, how do you feel about this episode?
I thought there were some really, really good parts in it, and then I thought there were some not so good parts in it. Some stuff that I still have lingering issues with going on with some of the stuff going on. But yeah, I enjoyed it for the most part. There was a lot of cool scenes I really enjoyed. I won't talk about them just yet. I'm sure we'll get to them. But yeah, I thought it was good. I don't want to rate before we really get done, but it was kind of like a 7 out of 10 for me. It's just still kind of sitting in that range. How about you, Dom?
Okay. Yeah. I might say 8 out of 10 for me. Maybe even 9. I'll have to watch it maybe one more time, but I really liked it overall. And I think this is probably my favorite episode out of the 3. Is this your favorite out of the 3?
That's actually I haven't even asked myself that question. I don't know if it really is.
Not sure yet.
There's definitely a lot of parts of this that are my favorite out of the series for sure so far.
Yeah,
like that's what I'm saying. And then there's some parts of this episode where I'm just okay, like they're doing it again, or here we go. But yeah, so I would say yes, probably yes, just for that Vader aspect that happened. I would say yeah.
Cool.
How about you?
Yeah, I think this will be my favorite for right now, but I'm excited where they take it. We can get into our breakdown. We kind of start out where we left off with episode 2, which was again really cool. From last week, seeing that first shot of Vader, Anakin in the bacta tank, and then Obi-Wan coming to the realization that he's still alive and like sensing him. We're thinking that they made a connection in the Force. It's kind of what it seemed like. And so we kind of leave off there. We begin there in episode 3. But it's kind of like going back and forth between showing Obi-Wan, but then also piecing in these scenes with Vader being put together, like his arms and everything put onto his body. And it's definitely kind of intense and ominous. I think they did a good job with how they shot it, kind of conveying like the pain and the torture that Anakin's been through.
Yeah.
What do you think about the intro?
I thought it was good. I think it made us like, at the end of episode 2, we were all like, okay. It was kind of us speculating a little bit that Anakin heard, or Vader heard Obi-Wan say Anakin, and that kind of like opened his eyes. And so it was nice to see them kind of make that connection right off the bat and just be like, yeah, like now he's got his claws in Obi-Wan. Like he knows he's out there and he can sense him now. I thought it was really interesting too, because he's in that scene and there's a lot of those callback lines that you're saying, like Yoda, like only pain will you find.
Yeah.
And so he's like having all these flashbacks, and he's still asking for Qui-Gon's help. Master, I need you. Like he's coming for me, Master. So
yeah,
when are we gonna see our boy Liam Neeson show up? He showed up at some point. Like that has to happen. I know we pretty much talk about our fantasy about what it would be like when he does, but
yeah, I can't
really
wait.
cool. And I thought it was really good. I thought it was a really good opening. Dude, it was brutal seeing all that stuff go into his body, all the prongs, and like I can just imagine the pain that he's always in, after watching him being put together. And it makes a lot more sense. I feel like that now when Yoda says that he's more machine than man at this point, and so I think that scene was conveyed that very well for us. So
yeah, definitely. And then after that, we kind of get to see him in his castle, Vader's castle on Mustafar, which is really cool. I'm glad that we get to see that again. We last saw that, I think, in Rogue One, and then there's been comics on it too, but I always thought that was kind of a cool concept of him building like his own castle on the place that he almost died. Where they had that battle in episode 3. But yeah, these scenes I thought were really good, and just the different shots of Vader and his conversation with Reva. Talk to me about that.
I thought that was pretty cool. First of all, his whole throne room is shaped like his mask. When they zoom out, it's got the 2 eyepieces behind his chair, and he's sitting there, and it's like really, when you pause that scene, you're like, oh my goodness. Like so how they set up the scenes and the shots was really cool. And him with Reva, and I actually, okay, I'll say what I say about Reva, and then I'll ask you a question.
Yeah,
because I know you're more Star Wars oriented than I am. So Reva obviously doesn't say that she killed Obi-Wan. She blames it on, or she killed the Inquisitor. She blames Obi-Wan still. So clearly, maybe we were a little wrong, thinking that she's working with Vader closely. Maybe she's just trying to, and Vader obviously doesn't seem to care about Inquisitors. So she's still trying to snake her way in somehow. So that was interesting. I wonder how that's going to play out. I've heard a couple of different theories about how that's going to play out. He's not dead, and he's going to come back in like episode 6 and be staying next to Vader when Reva comes back, and they're going to slaughter her or something. Or there's a lot of different things that are going on. But anyway, so that happened. But I have a question, because there's been a lot of this going back to Padme talk. Every time Obi-Wan is talking to Leia, he's mentioned her in episode 2 now, and he mentioned her in this episode. And I know that Vader's castle on Mustafar he sets up there because he wants to go try to communicate with Padme, right, on like the other side, or there's like a specific thing that's going on there. Do you think that they're going to touch on that at all?
Oh yeah.
Vader, or do you think there's just like no time to even? But they just keep hinting at these little Padme things, and so I'm like, okay, like is that gonna tie into the story at some point? Like when Leia's there, does he bring Leia there and is like?
That'd be really interesting. I don't know all the specifics. I do know that there's comics on it, about like kind of what you're talking about, and him like trying to communicate with Padme, if that's even possible, or the other thing that is canon too, which is in the VR game, the Vader Immortal game. which is pretty cool. And
Mhm.
if anyone hasn't played it, you should definitely play it. But you could also just watch the cutscenes on YouTube to know the story. But I guess some
You
spoilers
just watch
here.
the cutscenes.
Essentially, he's trying to like bring her back to life, which is kind of cool
Oh, really? Okay.
because it kind of goes
That's
back
weird.
to Plagueis being able to save people from dying, or like kind of. I think the speculation was always that he could bring people back to life too. So
Okay.
that's sort of what that game has to do with. That's part of what that game has to
So
do
he's
with the
still
story.
he's like still trying to have that power
Yeah,
over life, pretty much is what you're saying. He's still like on that
yeah,
journey. Okay.
exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
that would be
And then
cool if
here,
they
I could throw this in,
talk about that just a little bit. That
like,
would be cool.
because it's like a doorway he's trying to open, right? Something like that. Like,
Yeah, I
like,
think
is there a
so.
room that they could walk by or something that like kind of just shows like a glimpse into a room that kind of like hints at like, oh, this is what he's been doing? Like, could they do that, you think, in the show, or is that just gonna confuse people? Is that gonna be like shot out of left field?
It might. I mean, also there's the world between worlds that they introduce in Rebels, but that's kind of out there too. I think that would definitely
Yeah.
confuse people that haven't seen Rebels.
Yeah. And then Ryan chiming in again. He's saying that he's waiting for the scene. They've been teasing us too hard for Qui-Gon. It's like they gotta do it. They have to do it at some point. It's got to be coming up soon. Episode 4. I mean, it's got to happen. It's got to happen.
I know. I think that there's like a chance that maybe it won't happen to the very end of the show, but I hope that that's not the case.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because I think we'll talk about it as we, continue on with our breakdown. But clearly, he's been out of the game for a long time. Obi-Wan, he needs to brush up on, his saber skills, using the Force more, and I think it's just inevitable that we see Qui-Gon, and I think there's still a good chance that we'll see Yoda at some point too. Or I don't know, maybe it'll be a different Jedi that he runs into and is able to help him. But they're gonna fight again. I'm pretty much positive. But yeah, so oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I already have my Jedi picked out that I want to help him, which is funny because I haven't actually encountered this Jedi. I've just heard things and seen clips of the video games, and that's a huge hint of who I think is going to come in. But that would be really nice.
Oh, who do you think? Cal?
100%. Cal needs to show up, dude. Cal needs to show up.
That'd be cool.
But I just don't know. He's already been to the Grand Inquisitors thing by this point, right? That was like 5 years before this.
So I'm just starting Fallen Order. I had played it a while back, like just a little bit briefly, but I've never played through all of it, and I don't know the entire story. I just know like little bits and pieces. So I'm finally like sitting down now that I have the PlayStation 5, and it's incredible. I just gotta throw that in there. Like,
I bet the visuals are
visually, this game looks insane. Sorry, I could go off on a tangent about this, but it's been a good week, Jake. It's been a good week.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
So I'm going through this game for the first time, and yeah, it's amazing. And I would really like to see, some things cross over into Obi-Wan, like possibly Cal showing up. I think that would be really cool. He's a really awesome character. He has a really good backstory. And the other thing about it is that the timeline could probably work. Most likely, because from what I can tell, the story starts out in Fallen Order before the events that we're witnessing now in Obi-Wan, but I mean, his story continues because the sequel trailer just got announced. So, like I said, I don't know the entire
So
story. I
that
haven't
is
played all
part
of
of.
it through, but maybe we'll see him.
Yeah, well, like that's kind of going on my theory. It's like they just dropped this Cal's coming back in Survivor thing. Like, why wouldn't they? I feel like that's, I don't know. That just gives me another reason to think that they possibly could have like Cal come back right now for some reason. They just dropped his game, so I don't know. But
Yeah.
sorry for that tangent. That's just what I'm hoping for.
No, I was the one with the tangent. I just can't wait to keep playing the game. But yeah, so that would be cool. Another thing I wanted to talk about with back at Vader's castle is, this is when we get to hear Vader's voice for the first time in a while, and I'm curious to know what you thought, because Vader was super cool in Rogue One. He had some great scenes, but I think it was really apparent to a lot of us that the voice, it was much more aged sounding. It was obviously it was an older, and I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head. I know
James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones. Yes, thank you, Mufasa.
Mufasa.
But yeah, so you could really tell that he had aged, and just the voice was like, I don't know, kind of a little bit crackly, I guess. It wasn't coming out the way that we know it. You know what I mean? It was just a little weird. But this,
I guess so.
This sounded pretty darn good. Oh, if you compare, you'll see what I mean.
I'm trying to think. Yeah. I'm going through the line, don't choke on your aspirations right now. And I'm like trying to picture what he sounds like. Maybe like a little deeper. Is that what it was? A little like scratchier deeper? What was it?
Not even that. It's just, I wish we could kind of compare like side by side.
Right, I believe you though. I believe you. He does seem younger. Like this is like this voice in the scene. Yeah.
You'll have to compare. Go back.
Okay.
Look at his lines in those scenes in Rogue One. Okay. This was just way more smooth. His dialogue, he sounded really good, and I think what they did is, I think it still could have been James Earl Jones. I didn't see if he was credited at the end.
He was,
but I think it. Oh, okay. So then it was him, but I'm pretty sure they kind of tuned it up a little bit. Made the audio a little smoother.
So the same people that did like the Luke voice for Mandalorian are doing the Vader voice for the show. So they're like kind of de-aging his voice a little bit and modulating a little bit more, and then they're kind of putting a little bit of Hayden in there as well. Or Christian Haydenson. Well, Hayden Christensen, okay? Whatever his name is. Don't ask me. I won't be able to tell you. Anakin, they throw his voice in there too. I heard a little bit. So, and especially in some scenes, I don't know if you could catch it, like his voice does kind of change, like when he's in his throne room to when he's talking to Obi-Wan. There's like just a little bit more of a hint of Anakin in there if you really listen to it. Especially when he's like, I am what you made me, like that line right there specifically was like, they threw just a touch of Anakin in there. But I liked it, dude. I thought, like, are you kidding me? I think they did. I've heard so many complaints too, like, oh, well, his helmet and all his stuff and blah blah blah, and they keep making all these little changes, I guess, from episode to episode, or like you said, Rogue One to what he looked like back in Empire Strikes Back to now. I guess it's like little tweaks. I don't see that. Okay, I'm here for Vader. I don't care if his helmet's an inch lower than it was in some other thing, or his chest plate isn't complete. Like, dude, I think he looks great regardless. Have you heard, or did you feel any of that? Because I've heard people talking about that, and I'm like, come on, guys. Like, that's...
I haven't seen that a whole lot, but I mean, Star Wars fans, some of us can be super nitpicky with things like that. And I just feel like in those situations, you're not thinking, like, considering about everything that he goes through, and like how many years he's in the suit. Like, it makes sense that he could have multiple suits. You know what I mean? Like, and at
Right?
some points, maybe we won't see it here in the Obi-Wan show, but I think it's alluded to, like in games like Battlefront or in comics, that certain times um he goes to like goes into battle, goes into war, you know what I mean? And so it makes sense
Mm-hmm.
that every once in a while he changes up the suit, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't see like all the guys in the army going out to battle in like what they wear to their graduation, that actual nice suit that they have that's tailored, right? So maybe he has like his general suit, his suit for like cold weather if he's going down to Hoth, who knows? And maybe it's just upgrades, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't golf with the same clubs that I used 10 years ago. I golf with clubs that I bought 2 years ago, and I'll buy some in 2 more years because that's just how it works. So I'm just saying, I think there's a lot of complaints. I'm like, come on, guys, like, come on, let's just let it
Yeah.
go. Just let it go. if that's your nitpick with the show,
They're
then
like,
don't.
no, one suit for 40 years. That's it.
Yeah,
That's all he gets.
and he never washes it either. Just imagine that, right? Jeez, poor guy. So yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, was there
Anyways,
anything more to be said about the conversation
thing.
with Riva? Because
No.
I mean, it's interesting that we were
A
saying
little purplish.
we were saying that he might be like she might be in cahoots with him already,
Mm-hmm.
but it's looking like this is maybe not the only time that she's ever communicated with him, but that like she had to kind of like reach out to him, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they
Yeah.
had already been having a lot of conversations before this. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is like more of the beginning of them working together, and like he's obviously taken notice of her before, and is saying that she could potentially be the next Grand Inquisitor, depending on how well she does in helping him track down Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I thought that was interesting. And yes, hello, Purple. Good to see you. Just
Oh, you
watched
just
episode
watched it.
3. Very cool. Very cool. How
Okay.
do you like it? How do you like it? Let us know in the comments. Let us know how you
Yeah.
liked it, your favorite parts, least favorite parts, or any theories. We want to hear about it. But yeah, anything else you want to touch on with that?
No, I thought it was really great. Him saying like you're either gonna become the Grand Inquisitor or get killed, and I think that's a very big like foreshadowing of she's gonna get slaughtered by Vader at the end. I think that's gonna
Oh,
happen.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, like there's a lot of theories out there about Grand Inquisitor not being dead and him kind of just like telling Vader like, yeah, this is what she's doing. And so honestly, when you think back
Oh,
on
that's
Vader,
interesting too. Yeah.
Vader doesn't really like people that are trying to go for his power. Like he knows what that means because he's a Sith Lord and they
Yeah.
always want to take each other's powers. So he's probably gonna build her up and then just shatter her, is my assumption. So I'm excited to see that. And
That's a
hopefully
really
Grand
good
Inquisitor,
point. Yeah.
like comes back at the end and is like, see, like look, and it's gonna play into the whole thing of the leaks that I already know is how the show's gonna end. They already really big hint. They hinted at it really big. They did so much in this episode of like what was actually gonna happen. And we get to it, I'll point it out to you, and maybe you feel differently. But
We're not talking about any leaks here on the show.
Hey, I'm not saying any leaks. I just say from what I hear. That's all.
Let's talk about Obi-Wan and Leia and their journey in this episode. How'd you like it?
It was cool. They
go to the mining
planet. I thought it was interesting.
They go to the mining planet. They're trying to find their contact. They're having a tough time.
He sees Anakin in the distance.
Yeah, I did want to talk about that. The hallucination that he was having. And
okay, so you think it was a hallucination? Okay, I was gonna ask you first. Like, I didn't think it was a hallucination. I thought it was like Anakin reaching out. I think it was like
Oh,
they built this
I like
connection
that too.
now, and it was,
Mhm.
but he wasn't. That's why he was so far away, is because it's not as strong yet as where like Ray and Kylo, they were like right there. They could see each other like that. Like maybe this connection just isn't as what that kind of was yet. So that's why he was so far away, kind of like looming in the distance, like kind of watching him, like I know where you are. Like I could see you, kind of thing. So that's what I got from it. But so you think it's like internal stuff?
I'm curious to know more about kind of like where you're headed with that thought because you mentioned that before in last week's review, which if you
I
guys
said it in
haven't seen
episode
that
one.
already, yeah, if you guys haven't seen that, we did our episode 1 and 2 review last week, and that's up on the channel as well as the podcast feed. But yeah, you had mentioned that, and like kind of the comparison with Ray and Ben um, being a dyad in the Force is what it's called, which is
Mm.
a newer concept to canon. And are you thinking that this is exactly what Anakin and Obi-Wan are gonna have, like that strong of connection? Because I don't know, that's kind of what I was hearing.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna have that strong of a connection. I think it actually could lead into, well, how does Anakin get, if like this Force connection to break? And I think it could actually lead into what we've kind of speculated before this series even started, which is like a mind battle, like where it's Anakin and Obi-Wan, like kind of duking it out, and that's how he kind of severs ties with him, and that's why Vader's like, oh, I haven't felt this since, and it's because Obi-Wan like somehow figured a way to get him out of like his force, if that makes any sense. So like I don't know, it could be leading that way, but
Okay.
I don't know if they're a dyad because like there's only what,
Yeah,
one
because I don't
every,
really see that.
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I just know that I felt like when I saw that, I was like, okay, so he's like watching him. It wasn't.
Mhm.
I didn't necessarily think it was like Obi-Wan hallucinating that. I think it was really like Anakin kind of like scratching in his like head, you know, like kind of trying to poke a hole into like him so he could connect further with him. So that's why when he goes to the planet, he can sense him better, right? Because we see that scene that we'll get to when he's in the village, but you know, I think it's just him trying to
Yeah,
like burrow his way into Obi-Wan's head, if that makes sense.
it does, and I do like that theory. I'm I'm more along the lines of like leaning towards it being a hallucination. Um, Part of that is because if you noticed, Anakin doesn't have any of his scars on his face,
Mm-hmm.
and so that could that could kind of like be symbolic for there still being good in Anakin, and so maybe
Okay.
that's kind of how it plays into um, the rest of the story going forward. Because I still feel like, you know, if we see Qui-Gon, that he might have that conversation with him again about him being the chosen one, and then um, also he Padme. We've had like a number of like callbacks to her, and that was like her last her last words to Obi-Wan is that there's still good in him. So yeah,
Okay.
that's kind of where I'm
I
coming
could go
from.
either way. Yeah, yeah, I could see that. It could just be trauma. It could just be him, and that's why he's still in his like Anakin form, is because he hasn't seen Vader yet, possibly, and so he doesn't know like really how to think of him yet. So when he thinks back of what he did, he thinks back of the good person that he harmed, probably, and like he's just having that trauma of seeing him,
Yeah. hmm
possibly. So I could see that being the case as well. Yeah, I don't
And I'm
know.
still
We'll see,
liking
man.
these.
Something's gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm still liking the dynamics between Obi-Wan and Leia too. And it was kind of interesting in this episode to get a little more backstory about Obi-Wan's past and his childhood, because I've always kind of
Mhm.
wondered about that. Um, and I mean, I assumed like most Jedi, he was taken from his family at a young age, but he talks about
Mhm.
him remembering that he had a brother, which is kind of cool.
Mhm.
Um,
Clark Kenobi is coming. That's his name. Clark
Um,
Kenobi.
but also it's just kind of a nice
It was nice to hear that.
well, it was a nice point, that he was trying
Oh.
to a nice idea that he was trying to share, or sentiment that he was sharing, that even though he missed out on that relationship or relationships from his family, he got new relationships, he got a new family um with the Jedi Order, and then you know kind of hinting towards his like brother type relationship with Anakin too. So
Yeah. So you think he like had that connection, like that was his yearning for a brother came from him being taken away from his brother? Maybe. Is that what you're saying?
maybe.
And that's why he had such a strong connection to Anakin and wanted to be brothers. I thought we were brothers, Anakin. You know?
Yeah.
That's possible.
But
yeah,
it was just cool to hear more about his past a little bit more.
It was very interesting, dude. I was like, okay, because I never even thought about it. Like, I was just like, okay, Obi-Wan's like chilling, he's happy, like I never. It does bring into that like question though, like how good was the Jedi Order?
Yeah.
Like taken. It seems like some of these Jedi have trauma around them being taken away from their families, and it was interesting to hear that he still kind of remembered them. I wonder what age. It sounds like he probably was taken at around like 3 years old, because he still has some memories. Especially, he said he has a baby brother, so he wasn't like a baby when he was taken, possibly. But he had to be at least 2. But so yeah, that was interesting. And it was good probably for her to hear, just because she's feeling that way, right? It was very great. Like, he related to her, and it was like, listen, like, you have a duty to do. This is kind of like the path that you're on now, and there's, you have your family that's present in your life now, and you probably shouldn't think about everything, because she's asking all those questions too, like, oh, did you know you knew my mother, huh? After he delivers that line, after he messes up, and says like, oh, Padme again, bringing up Padme, invoking her name. So I'm just like, okay, there's like a lot about this, but. So she's like, are you my dad? So like, she's curious, she's like always hunting for those answers, and she doesn't really let them go. Obviously, when we see, episode 6, in the movies. So, and dude, I have something to say, because you didn't really mention it, but there's some things that I'm like, okay, there's something going on with Leia, and it's weird, because I think it might ruin the continuity, right? I'll make this quick, but she kind of says in that episode 6 in the movies, like, oh, I've kind of already always known, like, I was one with the Force, or like that was in me, or whatever. And we've seen a lot of her kind of, she knows about the Force, like she somehow knows about it, when a lot of other people in the universe don't know about it, like in the world. Like Luke never freaking even, he's like, oh, I thought that was a myth. Han Solo, oh, I thought that was a myth. But then here's Leia, and she's like, no, like, I know about the Jedi, I know all this. And she's smart, right? She's very intuitive, and she seems to know things. Like, there's a really big hint near the end of this episode that I want to kind of get to, but she just seems to kind of know things, or like have this like this feeling about certain things. She was obviously wrong about the mole guy. She's like, oh, he seems friendly.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily the best example, but she just there's just something. She's like, I don't know. And so I'm curious to know if she knows, because she keeps asking questions about the Force. I'm wondering if she has like an inclination already as a kid, like, oh, maybe I am Force sensitive. They even talk about that, Force sensitive children, right, at the end. But so I don't know. I'm curious to think, like, do you think that's going to be brought up and kind of ruin the continuity, and like someone's going to spill the beans, or she's going to have like a major hint thrown her way, or what?
I don't know. And I don't know, even if they gave like hints, or like teased her having Force abilities even like this early on, I don't think it would ruin the continuity. I don't think they would have to do anything like too intense. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But like some kind of like little tease that she has her abilities to an extent, I think would be fine and make sense because again, uh, you know, a lot of the Jedi like that's when they start to show their abilities or their connection to the Force is when they're little. So I think that
Mhm.
would be fine. But I think a big part of it is that her dad or her adoptive dad is um, he's open to talking a little bit about the Jedi and like he worked alongside them and during the Clone
Mhm.
Wars and like he considers Obi-Wan one of his friends. And so
True. Okay.
when they live in like a time where everyone like kind of despises Jedi or thinks really poorly of them for the most part, but
Okay.
her
So
family doesn't though.
okay. All right. I can dig on that. When we get to it later on in the episode, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to throw the correlation your way. And I want to see what you say about
Yeah.
it. Um,
Anything else noteworthy in kind of this little car ride that they have? This is probably like kind of my least favorite thing about this episode is their little journey. Um,
oh, really? Okay.
I mean, I aside from like getting to hear a little more backstory, like, and it was also kind of cool when he, like protected her from the stormtroopers, but that was kind of it. I could have done without the mole guy.
Yeah, he sounded like Seth Rogen. Not a big fan. And yeah, right when I saw him, I just immediately my mind went to the Underminer. If you know who that is, you know who that
Yeah,
is from
Incredibles.
Incredibles.
Yeah,
I'm the Underminer. I was like, oh my gosh, like here we go. Like that's what I just thought. Like right when I
it's all
saw him, so I
Disney,
wasn't a
man.
fan of it.
It's all Disney.
Hey, dude, honestly, that could have been the Underminer for all we
Yeah,
know. That
never
it,
forget.
Fred the Underminer. That's his real name, Fred or whatever. Um, but yeah, it was whatever. It was a little intense some scenes, but I was like, eh. I thought it was kind of cool. They showed like the different personalities of the troopers, now that they're not
Yeah,
clones and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I thought the scene at the gate was pretty cool. I mean, the guy got mauled, right?
right.
He got straight cut in half. He fell off, and I loved how he fell off. It looked like the old movies when they'd be like, "Wow!" and like throw their gun and like kind of just like fall off something. And I just like was cracking up.
Yeah.
Yeah, shared universe, 100%, 100%.
Um,
But you didn't like that scene, or you did?
yeah, it was good.
The gate scene. Okay,
It was good.
yeah, it was all right.
So now we get to the village and we can kind of
Yes.
gear up towards talking about this intro with Vader. Oh, and also we should mention that he runs into their contact, or at least someone who's going to get them to the pilot so that they can get to Alderaan.
Mm-hmm.
Don't remember her name, but I think we'll see more of her.
Tala or something.
Yeah, I think that's it. Chala. She seemed pretty cool. I think for a
Yeah.
while, um, when it was announced that she was going to be in this, I think this is who people were um, kind of speculating was going to play Satine, which is Obi-Wan's
She
ex-girlfriend
could be a good
in the Clone
Satine.
Wars.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
I
could be a
think she
good
could be a
Satine.
good Satine too. It's obviously not her, and also Satine dies. Spoiler.
I was
But
gonna say, isn't she dead by now? Isn't she though? Yeah, she's dead,
yeah,
right?
she's dead.
Okay.
But yeah, she seemed like a cool character. And
Yeah.
what do you think of her? And you think we're going to see more of her going forward?
Oh yeah, I think she's gonna be a major part of the rest of the episodes. She's a smuggler, pretty much, right? She's a rebellion smuggler, and she has to be. I mean, she just saved his life. I'm assuming she's gonna be in it for at least the next 2 episodes. Could you see her dying, though? Do you see her getting killed?
Maybe.
I could see her getting killed. Like, the more people that die in this show by Vader, like, the better the show is going to be. Give us some characters that were like, oh, that's a cool character, and then just have Vader slice him in half or choke him out. Like, just come on, Disney. Pull at our heartstrings here. Don't give us the fluff. Don't give us the fluff. But
well, I mean, speaking of choking people out, let's just get right into it. So
you
the three of them.
Over, the new character that was introduced. Well, not new, but old character that's reintroduced. That's smuggling the kids. What's his name? Something Voss, Master Voss.
Oh, he's the guy with the yellow stripe. Voss, yeah.
And they're bringing him back.
Voss. They did do a callback to him, and so he was a Jedi in the Clone Wars, and I believe there's a few episodes with him in the Clone Wars series. So again, guys, I say it all the time, but it pays to be a big Star Wars fan, and it pays to watch the animated series, especially when they're incredible like Clone Wars and Rebels. But some of those things tie in here, and like you just end up enjoying and understanding things better.
Yeah, like all the little things they put in there.
So that's pretty cool. And yeah, if he's still alive, then maybe that's who meets up with Obi-Wan, and that'd be cool.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm wondering, because he said he helped kids. Do you think that Cal could be with him? Because maybe he has a bunch of kids and he's like, I can't, but I have this Padawan named Cal who's turning into a real BA, and maybe you should take him along on your journey. You know, like, do you think that could happen? Or is it, because when she said that, I was like, Master Boss really is the only one that I could think of, because they introduced him now in the show that's going to meet up with Obi-Wan and go and try to save Leia. Spoiler for the ending of the show. But actually, Leia's pretty quick. We don't know if she got caught, you know? Reva just has the Force and cuts people in half. You know, Leia could run under some branches in that tunnel. And
so you don't think
that's all she wrote.
Leia's going to get back to Alderaan until the end of the show?
No, definitely not. That's what I'm that's why I'm like, okay, how the heck are they going to do this? Because Vader's going to have to know, like, if Vader walks in the room with Leia, I'm like 1,000% positive that he'd be like, oh, like, that's my freaking daughter. Like, I could totally feel that, you know, like, so I don't know if they, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do, man, honestly. But I definitely think she gets brought back to the Inquisitor's place, you know? And she's captured there. Because Reva still wants Obi-Wan, right? And she knows that Obi-Wan's coming for Leia. So it's got to be somewhere. But I just don't see her interacting with Vader, if that makes any sense. Like, if Leia is in the same room as Vader, like, I think that ruins a lot of continuity. Like, I don't know. That's just my personal opinion, you know? But
so fast forward to Obi-Wan having a panic attack. He knows something is terribly wrong. He looks out the window dude, this scene was amazing.
This was the best scene of the whole episode.
I love that it wasn't Vader yet, and that you first see the Inquisitors, and then everyone is kind of like pausing and, you know, standing in place, and then you finally get to see him walk through the village, and he just starts grabbing people, throwing them around, choking them out, dragging them with the Force. And he has absolutely no beef with any of them. It's simply in spite, you know, of Obi-Wan and trying to get him out, trying to get his attention.
It was so bad.
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think of the scene?
Sorry, got an animal around me. I thought it was the best scene in Star Wars. I mean, besides like
in all of Star Wars.
Oh yes, dude, Vader. That was like, not all of Star Wars. Clearly, like, there's a lot more graphic stuff. I feel like, which is funny in the cartoons. He's a lot more brutal. But if definitely in like live action, this is probably top 2 Vader scenes for me, for sure. I don't know why we don't really see him going off in live action that much, you know, besides like choking some of his comrades out or killing someone that he doesn't like that's not doing their job correctly.
Rogue One was pretty good. That scene
was the scene
up there.
Yeah, and I think this scene just what it just says about Vader was, I was like, oh dear goodness Lord, like this guy does not care about anybody. Yeah, he snaps the kid's neck for trying to like run out and grab his dad, right? He's like, oh no, and Vader's like, yeah, sorry, suck it, like snap. And
Yeah,
like just that feeling I got when I watched that scene, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is Vader, like this is pod racing. But I was like, this is Vader, man. Like this is awesome. Yeah. So I don't know. I
he's like
thought it was
choking
one of my
people
favorite
out,
scenes.
but inside, little Anakin is like, "This is pod racing."
Well, dude, yeah. And when he killed that kid, I was like, yep, that's definitely Anakin. Like slaughtering younglings again, just does not care.
But
So
yeah,
I
I mean,
know.
Obi-Wan's like terrified too.
Dude, he is not feeling up to the challenge at all. In his face, he's like, I gotta get out of here. He knows he's gonna die. I think, when he says take her and go, I'll be right behind you, he's like, yeah, like I'm never gonna see you again, I'm about to get slaughtered. That's just what I got when that happened. But
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
brutal. It
he's
was the
not
best.
confident at all. Like, I mean, that's why he's like running away. Yeah, he keeps running away.
Yeah,
Thanks everyone for tuning in. By the way, I'll get a couple of these comments. We appreciate you guys being here with us. Make
I
sure to
gotta
hit
put
that
this
like
up.
button too. Make sure to hit that like button.
Yeah, Ryan agrees with
Ryan,
me. He agrees. So this is this and the scene in Rogue One are top 2 for sure. Yeah. And we have a couple more.
yeah,
That is false coming in. Obi-Wan mentioned he remembers having a brother, Obi-2. Yeah, I was going for Clark, but Obi-2's pretty good. And then he also says a long one here. The second Star Wars Jedi game happens during Kenobi, apparently. So perhaps he runs into Cal Kestis. Not gonna happen, but I would really like if it did. Yeah, see, that's the thing.
you
I'm
never
pretty sure.
know. I mean, he's an actor. The guy's a legitimate actor, and he's good.
Yeah. From what I gather, the first Fallen Order that you're playing right now happens 5 years before the show, because it happens 5 years after Revenge of the Sith, and the show takes place 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. So it's 5 years. So it's in between, and then Survivor actually takes place 5 years after the show. So he's kind of like free at this point in the Star Wars atmosphere. I think So he's. I would love to see him show up. I want Cal. Give me Cal. Give me Cal. But maybe he's too OP.
Continue to send in your messages, questions, theories, whatever you got.
Okay.
But we will keep going with our breakdown. Yeah. So tell me more about your thoughts on when they actually, finally meet. The first time I watched it, granted, I was very tired. I had already fallen asleep, and then I woke up at midnight to watch it, and I was a little bit underwhelmed with them like actually meeting for the first time in a long time. But when I watched it a second time, I thought it was better. But
Okay.
what were your thoughts?
I thought it was underwhelming. I like the first scene. I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And then he's like, "Oh, look at my lightsaber. I'm gonna run away." And then he ignites it out of fear as a light that obviously doesn't work well because you can't see past it. And I was like, "Okay, like come on now." And then he runs, and the fact that like I have to justify Vader following him while Obi-Wan's running, right? Obi-Wan's just like running all over the place, and then you have Vader doing the old Mike Myers walking down the street, but somehow he's already down the street, but he's been walking, and so Vader's just kind of showing up. And so I literally just had to justify that in my own head, that Vader was like force jumping super high, like just taking off, dude, and like landing and then like walking. Like that's how I had to perceive it, because it would have been cool if they showed us that, but like him just walking around, like I was just like, okay.
Or like
force
speed, like they could show us that too.
Hey, maybe he's got that in the bag now. Who knows? They only used it once. I heard you can only use that once, and that's it. So I don't know.
I mean, I've only seen. Well, maybe he's used it in the Clone Wars, but I only remember Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon using it in Phantom Menace at the beginning. to get away
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
destroyers. But yeah, they do that a couple times, even in some of the other episodes, where it's kind of like, I don't know if it's because they feel like there's just a lack of time that they're just gonna bypass some of like the little details, but stuff that like feels weird if you leave it out. You know what I mean? Like what you're saying, like
It
in
just
this
was.
scene where he's like pursuing him, it's like, okay, well, you don't see Vader walking after him much. I mean, you kind of do, but like clearly Obi-Wan's running, so Vader has to be running or jumping really high, like you said, to catch up with
Yeah,
him.
yeah. And
But
then the
oh well.
choreography, yeah, and the choreography for me, like the fighting choreography, was just a little bit lackluster. But I guess it was supposed to be like that because Obi-Wan sucks. But it was just
Yeah.
very like, and I get that they're trying to convey like how strong Vader is fighting him with one arm, like smashing into him, and Obi-Wan's like struggling. He's like, no, I get that, but I was just like, okay, like this is a little bit like, and
I'm sure it's his upgrades too, probably. I'm sure he's like physically stronger
oh
as well.
yeah, you ever try fighting a robot? Doesn't work out well. They ain't got no quit in them. But yeah, so I don't know. It was okay. I thought like the lightsaber visually was cool and stuff like that. But I'll ask you how you felt about everything, I guess, and then just this beginning fight scene, because I really want to talk about my actual favorite scene from this episode. But I want to hear your thoughts on like that initial thing.
Again, it all played better the second time watching it, and just keeping in mind that this is not the same Obi-Wan from the Clone Wars or from Revenge of the Sith. He's been out of the game for 9 years. His sabers have been buried in the ground for 9 years. And he wasn't planning on fighting that, when he met, or like that day, when they met up. But he had to defend himself. And I mean, it was kind of like he was, one, terrified of realizing that Anakin survived, and two, he was terrified at what he's turned into. And that's when he says, what have you become? And then he's like, I'm what you made me. And which,
By the way,
again, that all did play out better watching it again. Right? I do like the dialogue. It wasn't as lackluster the second time, but I do feel like it could have been a little better overall. How I would have executed it better, I'm not exactly sure. I think the build up and even just the overall screen time could have been longer, and I think that may have helped. But what were you thinking?
Well, I was gonna say there's a couple missed opportunities with lines here. Obi-Wan doesn't say hello there to the mole. He just says hello. He missed that opportunity. And then in this scene, when he's like, "I am what you made me," I was expecting Obi-Wan to be like, "You have done that yourself,"
Right.
But he didn't, because he just feels so guilty, and I get that. But it was
Yeah.
just missed opportunities, some good lines there. but that's it. But I was gonna ask you this, because this is a big. I'm gonna get into my issues with the episode at the end. Well, I think that's fine. But here's, the issues I have, clearly. Tunnel scene. Reva walks in and she finds out, okay, this is where they're hiding people while that's going on, right? She's like going and trying to find where Leia is, and so she's like sensing out where the magical door is that opens, and she gets in there, and when she finds, she's like, oh, like, holy smokes. What was your thoughts on like that whole scene when she walks in there? I kind of want to know what your feelings were. Like, did you get any feelings, like predictions, sensations, or different character trait maybe that was coming through Reva at that time, or what?
No. The only thing that I was picking up on is just like we had talked about last week, is that we're thinking that was probably her in the very beginning of episode 1, at the Jedi Temple. And so, clearly she recognizes and knows what the the Jedi Order symbol is. So I feel like it was kind of
That's
hints to her being, a Jedi for a while.
okay. So that was it. That's all you took from it.
Yeah. Why? What did I miss?
I don't
What
know.
I miss,
It
Jake?
seemed like she had. Let me tell you, Dom. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just break the news here. All right. No, I just when she walked in there, I almost got this feeling because I know how the show is going to end and how they're going to do it. I never watch any of
You're
that.
killing me with that.
I know. I only say that because I actually don't know how the show's going to end. Okay, I didn't read any of the leaks, only like the beginning part leaks. I haven't read the end leaks. I did that. I don't want to know what's going to happen. I've just heard rumors of maybe something, but it looked like she walked in there and kind of was like questioning, like, oh my God, there's actually like a lot of Jedi out there, and they're helping other people and helping other Jedi. And when she touches the symbol, she realizes that it was a symbol. It kind of like, for me, was like inspiring her to kind of be like, oh, like, did I make a mistake? Like, I could have been helping other Jedi. Like, it was like almost like a hope. Like, I just got like an inkling of hope in her eyes. Like, wow, like they're actually helping younglings, and like this is happening. And she like touches it, and then she like snaps out of it and gets very rageful about it again because she realizes that she's an Inquisitor. And so she's angry again because she's like, they didn't save me, right? Kind of thing. Like, screw these people. And she's knocking stuff over and gets more angry about it. But for like just a few seconds, you kind of see her being like, not that angry person, and kind of like, oh, like, whoa, like, this is like, that's what I got from it. Hence, I think that
that's
she's
interesting.
going to turn. That's something that always happens in Star Wars. There's always one bad guy that has to turn into a good person, and she would be the perfect setup for that, just because she was a youngling, right? And so I don't know, I just got that from her. But then she kind of snaps out of it. She's been an Inquisitor for a very long time and done very terrible things. So, but yeah. Anyways, that's what I thought, and then we should probably get to that last. Oh, what happened?
Yeah, I'll grab that comment. That is false. Says, I love how when Rey picks up the dagger and shudders because horrible things have happened with it, but has absolute no problem swinging Anakin's youngling slasher 3000. That's funny. He says, not related, but Jake mentioned younglings and it popped into my head. Yeah.
Okay, I was like, all right. I mean, that was a great comment. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's funny that happens, and that's what our boy Master Voss actually has the ability to do. So it's very funny that you bring that up. Voss has the ability to touch objects and kind of get memories and stuff from those objects. So
does Cal Kestis.
And so Cal Kestis.
Cal Kestis has that too. Yeah.
Quick question. Because I already kind of mentioned, like, it'd be cool if Cal was with this guy Voss, Master Voss, kind of getting trained. Is that a thing? Or, like,
do they meet up?
Story? Yeah, like, what's his story in Fallen Order? Is he just, like, a Jedi off the bat? Or, like, did he get trained? Or they don't go into it? Or what?
He's kind of working at, like, a junkyard in the beginning. But he had, like, a close relationship with his master, like a good friendship, and like really looked up to him, and like considers him a hero of the Clone Wars. And this is kind of as far as I've gotten, but he's starting to have these flashbacks to like their training, and like it's leading up into Order 66 and like the events where he's killed.
Okay.
Yeah. And his master's super cool too.
Okay. Well, it'd be interesting if they're hanging out together. Like I said, maybe you'll see the end. This show takes so much from that video game that probably by the end you're gonna be like, they just ripped off the storyline of this. From what I've heard, you're gonna just be like, okay, like that's just a little ridiculous. But okay. All right. Well, I want to see Cal, so if Cal could show up at some point, that'd be great. Either way, I don't care. They don't have to do that. Yeah.
Ryan chimes in here and he says, if they make it so she turns good, they will need to spend some time showing us her backstory so that we care. Otherwise, it won't be a satisfying payoff. That's a good point.
I will tell you one thing that is a
Yeah.
very large pattern. It's a very big pattern with Disney shows. Is episode 5 is like hey, let's slow everything down and go back to the beginning and see if we could have some trauma worked out. So I'm thinking that they possibly could do that for episode 5. WandaVision did it. Falcon kind of did that, where it's like training and dealing with other stuff, and then Hawkeye really didn't do that. But no, Hawkeye really didn't do that, did it? Loki's so. 5th episode, or second to last episode, was all about him kind of getting through his trauma as well, when he was like with all the other Lokis. So I think that it's possible that they could have that episode where we're all gonna say it sucks, because we're gonna be like, okay, like we didn't need to see all this, but maybe it'll help that character development. So I don't know, maybe they'll do that. I hope not, but
yeah.
And I agree though, it's gonna be stupid if they
let's get to the best part, man. So after they fight for a few seconds, and Vader like force pushes Obi-Wan.
Yes.
And I'm sure this is your favorite scene. Why don't you just take us through it?
Why don't you just take us through it? Oh man, I loved this scene. It was great. And I know everyone has a bunch of gripes about it, and I don't care. Listen, if you can't read between the lines of what's happening here with Vader and Obi-Wan, then you got to watch the show 4 more times and you'll get it. Yes. So
I think it was a great scene. It was very impactful.
Steam is going to stop Vader from.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Very impactful. I'll tell you in a second. Yeah. He hits it, and the steam comes out like it's gonna stop Vader. And he runs away, whatever. And he's in that other smaller quarry now with all those rocks that have been mined. And so Vader freaking stops him. And Obi-Wan knows, he's like, all right, like this is pretty much it. I don't think there's any part of Obi-Wan that thinks he's getting out of the situation. He's kind of cornered. Vader picks him up with the Force and makes him drop his lightsaber. Oh my gosh!
And he's choking him out too.
And yeah, he's choking him out. And he's like, what did he say? This is where your pain begins, right? Something like that. Or you'll know the pain I felt. This is where it begins. Something like that. Lights the fire. Dude, that scene with the fire and it glowing on Vader, bro, like in his eyes. And he's like sitting there. He throws Obi-Wan on the ground and then starts dragging him through the coals of this fire to let him know, like, this is how I felt and this is what you left me as. Obi-Wan's screams sounded identical to Anakin's, and that was like, kind of took me out. I was like, I wonder why they're doing that. It was just too. Did you feel that way as well, like when watching that scene?
That's where a good point. Like, it did sound similar. I don't know if it was exactly, but if it was, I feel like that would kind of make sense, like, because it's like his memories. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's both of their memories.
Then I want to just hear. Yeah, I just want to hear your thoughts about this scene. Honestly, I don't even want to go through it all. I just want to hear what your favorite parts were.
Yeah. I mean, this was probably my favorite part too. Yeah, okay. I mean,
yeah,
it was rough. I think we talk about that emotional punch, and it definitely had that. Ties back into the very beginning and just flashbacks that we've already gotten, really showing, putting a lot of emphasis on the pain and suffering that Anakin's been through. And then the whole point really is to have Obi-Wan understand and feel that same pain and suffering.
Yeah, and I thought it was really great too that he was, after he tortured him a little bit, he was like, okay, like, no, like, you're getting tortured for years, dude. There is no way that Anakin's just going to kill this guy. And you could clearly see that by, he puts the coals out and Force pushes him out of the coals, and he tells the clone trooper, or the, whatever trooper stormtrooper to go get him. And that's when Talos shows up again. And I'm getting a little off topic of this one scene, but here's my connection to Leia. This is how I know, like, I feel like she knows she has the Force or has some sort of ability, and she keeps questioning it. she can sense that Obi-Wan's really not in danger, right? She's like, no, you need to go help Obi. Like, he is going to die if you don't go help him. And I don't know, she didn't see what Vader did in the streets. Like, she didn't see any of that. So it was more of like, I'm feeling this, like, she's sensing it. And the connection I had to that, it made me just immediately think back to when Empire Strikes Back. And they're flying away from Cloud City. And she's like, no, Luke, like, we have to go back for Luke. I could feel him. So, like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I don't know if she already is going to have, like, it just seems like she's so knowledgeable about her abilities right now. It feels weird. And I feel like it's a little bit breaking continuity because she just, I feel like, knows. She has to know. I don't know. I don't know. But how do you feel? Like, do you think that that's happening in the show or no? Because that's my hardest evidence base that I have for. I think that she has.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, well, why does it have to break continuity though? You know what I mean?
I guess it really doesn't, because she's like, oh, I guess I kind of always knew, you know? But I don't know. She just seems so powerful with it right now. I just feel like she could have easily progressed into something more powerful by the start of A New Hope. That's all. That's it. But I don't know. Maybe she was. I don't know. I just feel like it does. Does. That's it.
I mean, it's just interesting though, like, because they always. I think the idea was for Luke always to be like the number one pick, to be like next in line for being the chosen one, like their last hope, and then Leia being their number two. Their plan B,
which is weird,
essentially.
Yeah, but dude, I mean, they make it.
But it worked out that way too,
right?
It worked out that way too because Bail Organa, he says that him and his wife always wanted to adopt a little girl in episode 3. So that's why he says we want to take Leia, leaving Obi-Wan to be the one to look after Luke. So,
all right. Well, so that was it.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So she's like, hey, go save Obi-Wan. And gosh, I'm going to talk about the issues. I just want to get through this, and I'm going to talk about these tunnel scenes that make no sense to me.
Oh, my brother was telling me about this. How it just was kind of weird.
Dude, it makes no sense. And it's like one of those things. These dang chase scenes, okay? These chase scenes with Vader and Obi-Wan in this part really took me out of the game. And then Reva in the tunnels really took me out of the game. But anyway, so Tella has to go help. She goes and helps. Somehow doesn't see Reva at all in the tunnels, I guess, because Reva's not in the tunnels, clearly, because she just knows. Anyways, she goes out.
She is the tunnels.
I guess so, dude. Yeah.
She is the tunnels.
That's the only conclusion we can come to on this show. That's it. That's our claim. But Tella goes and she helps Obi-Wan. She shoots the clone, and then he's gonna go try to pick him up and bring him back over the coals. Shoots the clone and then shoots the other fuel, and so it lights up the fire again. And this is what I was saying. People have a major issue with this part because they're like, why doesn't he just jump over the fires? Like, why is he scared of the fires? Why can't the stormtroopers just go around the fire? Why can't they shoot through the fire? Like, what's happening? Like, so there's a lot of gripe. I can see why don't they shoot through the fire. I get that. But for me, Vader is
because it's still a TV show that has a few more episodes. That's why.
That's why it's happening, people. That's the answer. But Vader lets him go because Vader is living rent free in his head. He knows that he's connected to him now. Like, he could probably find Obi-Wan anywhere, and that's why I'm saying, like, there has to be some sort of like mental sever that it has to happen. I don't know how it's gonna happen, but it seems like Vader's not, like, he couldn't find him for years because he never felt him, and now he's like felt him and has his claws in him. He's like, yeah, get out of here, dude. I'll catch you on the next planet. Don't even trip, man. So and Vader's all about torture, and the best way to torture him is to let him go, let him have his thing, be scared, probably, hopefully, it gets a point to where Obi-Wan has like a sense of hope again, and then Vader can just come in and just rip that away from him, because that's how just villainous Vader is, right? So that was my belief on that whole situation, why he didn't jump over or whatever and just kind of lets him go. But did you kind of sense that? Did you feel like this needs to happen because, or were you like, okay, like maybe Vader's just,
I mean, that definitely popped into my mind. Like, well, you can still pursue him, like jump over, walk through.
He literally just put the fire out like 5 seconds before. Like
better
Force,
right? Yet, just like separate the flames with the Force was my thought, actually. But but then, I mean, did he maybe not do it because there is still some good in him?
Oh, so you think it's like a good thing? You thought those flames reflecting off this eyelid were like a symbol of light in him, not a symbol of evil, huh?
I'm sure there's a small part that doesn't actually want to kill him. Okay. And again, I think it goes back to just that whole idea of there still being good in him, and the hallucinations, the callbacks to what Padme said. The idea that even though he's a Sith Lord, that he's still the chosen one. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying too, because I don't know, I feel like even in those original 3 episodes of the movies, he's still a little bit Anakin, and Palpatine senses that still in those 3 episodes until the very end, and that's why he's like, well, you're either gonna kill your son and go full dark side, or you're just like, I don't know, I gotta kill you, man, or something. Like, I could see that. I could see him still having some good in him. I mean, that's the play for the original movies anyways, so yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. I could see that. But so then they get through this scene, right? And
that's pretty much
they get through this scene, and then it just shows Leia getting to the end of the tunnel, and somehow magically Reva is there. She just hey, I killed the pilot, and now I'm gonna take you, and then boom, that's the end of the episode. Leia running away. But yeah, so my major issues, these just chase scenes, like they just got to clean these up, at least give us something. Like there's too much space, like, or not enough. They just don't, like, they could have shown us a couple of different pathways in that tunnel that just branched out, and that would have been a fine enough like explanation for me to say, oh, she just went down a different tunnel, but it made it seem like, oh, this is one tunnel and there's one way in, one way out, and it goes straight there. And so that whole scene didn't make sense to me. I don't know how Tala got around Reva, and I don't know how Reva knew where the tunnel exited. If she didn't go through the tunnel, she was just like, I know where this tunnel goes, right? Yeah. Or maybe she had an idea. I don't know. But they just don't explain things, and it's just, they just like, oh, here, take it. This is what happened. Like, this is happening now. It's a little too much for me. It's a little too much.
I like Ryan's
Did
comment.
You have any issues with this episode?
Perfectly he says perfectly balanced as all things should be.
It's true. But those are like my gripes. Adrian.
Shout out to Adrian. He says, I just realized how Reva got there so fast, like Nacho Libre secret tunnels. Have you seen that movie?
Dude, exactly, bro. It makes I love Nacho Libre. Yeah, that's like I can quote that all day.
Yeah, Adrian was talking to me yesterday about the same things. He had like the same thoughts as you on just like the tunnels and how they worked, and how the two of them like get or don't get to whoever fast enough or too fast, like how it all seemed a little janky.
Yeah. And the Vader thing, him walking, I was just like, okay. The choreography, I thought that you're gonna like appreciate this because I have something good to say about the show. I thought the little girl was better in this episode. I thought she
think
was.
she's always been good, though.
I think she was a little bit better. Well, here's the thing. I just watched Stranger Things, season 4, and that's an amazing show. Like, that's an amazing show.
You liked it?
And then when I go back and watch, oh my gosh, it's so good. Have you seen it? Do you watch it?
I watched it. Yeah.
Wait, did you see season 4?
I did. I binge watched it. Yeah.
Oh no. Oh, we gotta talk about that at some point then. But
Another
just
time.
those little kids. Yeah, another time. This is where the fun begins. The kids that start off in that, like season 1, like it's just their acting. See, they were just a little bit older. I don't know why they got such a young girl to that's all. Her acting, the line delivery in the first 2 episodes was a little harsh for me. But she did better in this. I could say that I was like, okay, that was better. You're hanging in there. So I'm hoping that I just warm up to her. Maybe I'm just warming up to her. I don't know what it is, but she did good. I really liked her in this episode. So
yeah, just open up your heart, man.
Just open up your heart, man. Hey, I'm trying.
She's great.
I'm trying. I got a lot of Sith in me. She reminds me of Padme. Triggers me, man. But, yeah,
well,
so,
any final thoughts on this episode before we close out?
It was a good episode, and I'm trying to keep an open mind with everything that's going on. I'm trying not to tell myself that I know the ending. And I'm just letting this thing wash over me, like warm milk, okay, warm blue milk.
Yeah,
in the morning. That's
bathe in it.
I'm just trying to just bathe in it, just soak it all in, and just enjoy it. So, but it's been good. I don't have any gripes with it. I really don't. Some few things, but that's why it's a 7 out of 10. The highest I'd give a really good show. Like Stranger Things season 4 was like a 9 out of 10, maybe a little bit over 9 for me. Oh dude.
Okay.
Oh, dude. Although I knew what was happening. Yeah,
I liked it. I think it's the weakest season out of all of them, though.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, another time. We can talk about it another time.
Yeah. That's what we gotta talk about another time. But yeah. So I don't know. Like, I really enjoyed that. You know me, and it's so much darker this season in Stranger Things. It's so much more brutal, and that's what I'm about. The more deaths, the merrier. If you can make us care about someone and then just yank them out of our lives, dude. I'm so worried for Steve. No spoilers, but I'm worried for Steve. I have a really bad feeling about him, and I could talk to you about it later. But anyways, yeah, this is a Star Wars show, everybody.
This is a Star Wars show. I don't know who Steve is. Steve Kenobi, his brother.
Yes, there you go. Yes, Steve Kenobi. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, exactly. But anyways, yeah. So the show's great. Anyways, what's your final thoughts or anything on it?
Well, I was gonna ask, do you have any predictions for next week's episode?
Gosh,
I have no close idea. Out on that.
Yeah. Predictions would be he meets up with Master Voss. I think that's more than likely who's going to help him. I don't know. Like, I would love for them to bring Leia back to the Grand Inquisitorius or whatever the heck it's called.
Inquisitor.
The Inquisitor Tower, whatever the heck that is, like there. Because I would love to see like a breakout scene where they could just pick it up in episode 5 and 6. Like, don't slow down the momentum.
Like another chase scene.
Yes, more running, please. You're so good at it, Disney. Like a prison break scene, like what they did in A New Hope. Scene. Like what they did in A New Hope, though. Like where they had to break in to get Leia out of when she's trapped in there. They had to dress up, right? Maybe they have to do something kind of similar. Obi-Wan, his number one best trait as a Jedi is being able to hide on ships and smuggle himself into places. He does it all the time.
That's true.
So I think that if they could get maybe some rebels that they could kill off in a very tragic way, and maybe another Jedi to come help, like go save her. That's more down the line. But for next episode, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't. I don't know how fast paced they're gonna do it. I don't know. What do you think? They can't have Leia meet Vader either. That's gonna ruin everything for me.
Yeah, I won't really like that. I do think he needs to meet Qui-Gon soon. I really hope it's not until the last episode. Yeah. I hope it's in this next episode. Because I think we've all been teased enough. I think we just need to see him finally. And I want to believe that there's more than one Vader and Obi-Wan fight scene left. I think maybe they fight a couple more times.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, they fight at least one or two more times, and it's just gonna depend. Here's what I'm actually thinking. I just thought about it.
Obi-Wan's going in this next time.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, Obi-Wan's
or at least
the
final time he's gonna tear it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's my prediction. Obi-Wan's gonna get taken somewhere. He's still gonna be all depressed, sad, right? He's gonna be taken to Master Voss. Master Voss is gonna be able to somehow like show him that all these other little youngling Jedi are with him, right? So Master Voss is gonna give Obi-Wan this like sense of hope again, and like this sense of like Jedi aren't dead, like we're fine. A new hope for Obi-Wan. And that's going to get Obi-Wan to kind of snap out of his whatever state. And hopefully, what's-his-face, Master Voss, can actually help Obi-Wan in this next episode be like, listen, you could talk to your master. You know, maybe by this point, he's actually had a lot of luck with, Master Voss has had a lot of luck with talking to Force Ghosts, right? Since he's been in Solitude and helping and being around the Force and helping these younglings. So Obi-Wan's like, all right, for sure. Obi-Wan talks to Qui-Gon next episode. I'm locking it in. Prediction locked. He's talking to him next episode. He's going to get help. And then it's going to basically just be like a training montage. Episode 5 is going to be him like trying to break into the place to try to get Leia. And then it's going to be episode 6, where it's going to be a big battle. They're going to get caught somehow in there, and they're all going to have to fight their way out. And a lot of people are going to die. But I think that it's for next episode, New Hope. He's gonna see all these kids training and kind of come back to the Force, and it's gonna be like his start of him training again. So I don't know. But that's my prediction. Yeah. I don't know if you like that or not.
I like it. We will close up in just a couple minutes. But I did forget this comment earlier. I wanted to touch on real quick. Okay. Purplish says, I think it is starting up a big plot with Reva and the other Inquisitors. We didn't talk. I don't know why you're laughing so much. But we didn't talk a whole lot. I was kind of saving this comment. We didn't talk a whole lot about the Inquisitors in this episode, just briefly. But it's an interesting point. It's an interesting point, though, because his comment, or their comment, I don't know, guy or girl, but Purplish, we appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Purplish.
Purplish's comment kind of makes me wonder if maybe the overall plot is going to have more to do with the Inquisitors at the end. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I'm a little bit worried about that. I don't want it to be like so prevalent and like, you know, overshadow the things that are happening with Obi-Wan and Vader, but
okay.
At the same time, some of these things might need to happen because there's more shows to be made. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely setting up like a big divide. That would be my other kind of plot theory that's going on right now as well, is that other Inquisitors are gonna somehow find out that like she definitely killed the other Grand Inquisitor, and so they're gonna either kick her out or try to start fighting her or hunting her, and that's when she has to be like, these guys aren't really my family, there's still hope out there for other Jedi, and then maybe she can come back and try to help Obi-Wan save Leia. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing people are saying. So, because they clearly don't like her, and if they ever found out that she did kill the Grand Inquisitor, like, she would be on the chopping block for sure. They would kill her in a second if they knew that she killed the Grand Inquisitor. That's just my feelings on it. Because, like she said, like, Obi-Wan killed him. Like, no one knows yet that she killed the Grand Inquisitor. So, are you mad at that theory?
I'm not mad at it. No.
Okay, because that's probably what's going to happen.
Final comment. Ryan says he's going to cut his legs off again, but this time they'll just wire another set on.
Dude, just cut all of his limbs off again.
You might be right.
It's possible.
He finds the high ground one more time.
Hey, and that's why he gets a new suit, everybody. Okay?
Yeah.
There you go. Answers all your questions right there, folks. Right there.
All right. I think that's going to do it for our episode 3 review. We'll be back next week. Well, we'll have to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. If
we'll
anything,
figure it out
probably
next week.
weekend. Yeah.
We will do
weekend
something
on Saturday.
We will do something though. For next week's episode, we will have an episode 4 review. Definitely looking forward to that. I'm actually going to be watching it probably with Adrian and Ethan and Landon next week. So maybe they'll be on. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Looking forward to it. It's going to be good. At least we're hoping.
Heck yeah.
Got to stick this landing.
See.
Yeah,
they got to stick this landing. That's good.
And I want to say thanks to everyone for sending in all those messages today and the nice audience participation. Getting to hear your guys' thoughts and theories is always fun. And if you're watching on the replay, continue to leave the comments, leave us some likes, and you can also find us on the podcast feed, Spotify, Apple Podcast, all that good stuff. And yeah, I do want to be streaming I want to stream some games again soon. I want to stream some Star Wars games soon. That'd be a lot of fun.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, he says, nice review, guys. Thank you. Really appreciate that.
Thank you, brother. Really appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks to everybody too. I just want to say that as well. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the comments. It really, it's a lot more fun for us if you guys put your thoughts in, so we can kind of bounce off them and talk about them. So I really appreciate everyone joining in today. That was really awesome.
Yeah, and we were kind of gone for like a month or maybe even a little over a month. So kind of getting back into the flow of doing shows, kind of been a little bit of a curve, but it's been good and glad to be back. Also, maybe this is just a time, because we've talked about this too, and you guys can continue to give us your feedback. But maybe this time is just a better time for our show around 3 on Fridays. So that's totally possible. But whatever the case is, it was good doing this show with you, Jake.
It's a great time, Dom.
Yeah, we will be back again soon. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. Catch you in the next one.
See you later.